CHICKEN. Use the code CHICKEN in the shop.
Hey guys, the Chicken is here. We are back today with another Boom Beach video. In today's video, guys, we're doing a Season 68 wrap-up and review. Now, at this point, I don't know if I'm finished yet or not, but I figured it would be a good time to do our review on the season. Things that we learned, some good takeaways, and some complaints and critiques, as always. So before I get into this, before I get into this, if you guys haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Got some Christmas offers in the shop. If you want to check those out, we went over those yesterday. I think the good ones to get would be the $13.99 and the $69.99 because we get those gems and some freebies, and then we get this one. We get 100 tickets for 13 versus 120, or time savers for 27. So I think if you're going to buy those offers, those are the two you want to focus on. Appreciate if you use the code CHICKEN if you do that. So before we get into this review, a lot of people will say, well, not even a lot of people say, I think what's common when going over warships is to complain about it. And I certainly am guilty of doing that sometimes. And, you know, I'm trying to review the season, so sometimes it's easier to go over the things that I didn't like than the things that worked really well. Because the things that worked really well typically work really well all season, or every season. So I'll try to be more specific and less kind of negative overall, I guess. But it's tough with warships because it's very hard to be specific. Like, you know, sometimes there's good things, and then that they do, you know, for a few seasons in a row. But then it's like those things that are good, that work, become boring because it's like that all the time. Like, the biggest thing with warships is it's got to be different. It's got to be, you know, if it's not different, then we're just doing the same thing. Like, for example, nobody would want to redo this season again next season. Maybe we want to redo it again in 6 months or a year or 2 years. But we want something different, right? That's the whole fun of it. It's like, let's figure out this tech tree. You know, that's where the enjoyment comes. And then if you make the right choices and you succeed, it's awesome. And if you don't, it sucks. So this was a very punishing season for anyone that took the wrong tech path. Even if you went slightly off path, extremely punishing. Even if you took the right path, but you didn't really push hard at the beginning of the season, instantly punished. So it was a very difficult season because you, number one, had to take the right path. Number two, had to dedicate a lot of time. And number three, had to capitalize on that time when you're able to do it. This is why I say Boom Beach Warships is the hardest Supercell game. Because I get that all games are difficult at a high level. They all require skill and planning and thought. And, you know, it's just different. Warships is just different because it works on a schedule. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's your schedule. That's what makes it tough, because there's, you know, you can make do. I mean, like, if you have to wait a day, you know, to push, you can still do it. It's just a lot harder, right? When you get something and it's good and it's an advantage and a lot of people don't have it, you know, that's when you can really make some progress. If you don't have that, it gets really tricky. So I always say that Boom Beach Warships is the most difficult Supercell game. Because you look at some of the other games, just to go on a quick tangent, like Brawl Stars, you know, you can push trophies with brawlers with a team of 3 people. So you can play with some of the best guys in the world and team up and, you know, push your brawlers like that. It's a lot different. And you can do that whenever you want. If you want to play competitively, you got to do it all the time. I get it. But, you know, that's for the people at the top of the leaderboard. That's, you know, kind of a different thing than what I'm talking about. You look at Clash Royale, you know, you're playing it by yourself, but I mean, there's less time constraints. But anyways, they're all competitive and difficult in their own way, but I feel like Warships is a little bit more variables kind of involved. So let's get into the tech tree. So the biggest thing, right after I said I wasn't going to be negative, the biggest thing I didn't like about the season is there was really only one troop. And we had proto rifles, clone rifles, which are cool, and it's great, and we did use them for the whole season. But the season was just rocket choppers the whole time. And for a 4-week season, I feel like that should be crucial, that there's good variety in the season. It can't just be, the same troop the whole time. That's boring. That's boring, because what ends up happening is the same defenses are the priorities. There's no benefit of unlocking, rocket launchers or whatever. The same kind of attack is happening. Although we saw a lot of variance towards the end of the season. Like having boosted heavies didn't do anything. Like a lot of this stuff was just kind of nothing tech to get extra buildings out, just to slow down the attack. Like it's not that rocket launchers weren't helpful. I mean, they were better than not having them, of course, but they didn't have a significant impact. Because they were just extra buildings at the end of the day. So yeah, that was my first issue. Obviously, this one with the landing craft boost was pretty cool. Like that was a creative thing that they did. To increase the troop capacity on the landing crafts, giving us 2 rocket choppers and 2 heavy choppers. Definitely, interesting, something we haven't seen before. It kind of, like, although it was cool to do that and to see having so many rocket choppers, which was crazy, it kind of just exacerbated it. It was just like giving us an all rocket chopper season, like with only 1 troop, and then making them twice as strong because we got double the amount of them. So it kind of just exacerbated an already, very dominant rocket chopper season into more of that, which was, that was probably the best part of this season, was having the double troops, because that was different and cool. But again, it comes back to variety. So we didn't have a lot of push points really this season. I mean, the first one, like out of the gates, it was basically just survive. And get rocket choppers immediately. If you went anywhere off path, you got absolutely buried. You got buried to the point where you were not really coming back. If you did not do everything that you could to get rocket choppers right away and rank up in the meantime somehow. So, very difficult opening start. The troop boost was nothing. Our first kind of push point was this building health right here. And anyone that got that early had a huge advantage. And, everything else was kind of meh. I remember this, the 5ER meta. It was just like, the problem was all the good stuff was right together. Like, shock blast, artillery, shock bomb, critter, building health. It's like, so everyone went building health first. And then if you're a little bit late to get the building health, you're immediately matching up with players using artilleries and shocks. And they were beating you faster, so... That was our first kind of push point of the season, and it was interesting, to say the least. So as we move forward, we really just kind of rushed. Like, when you think about it, after getting rocket choppers, getting the troop like there wasn't a lot of stat nodes to pick from. Getting the troop damage certainly helped. Getting the building health certainly helped. But other than the building health, it was basically at that point race to ADR. And then get everything back there, which is kind of crazy. I mean, there were some things you could do in the meantime that kind of helped. But yeah, going straight from 6, DBD, shock launchers, barrage. I mean, a lot of guys were stuck in that 20 zone. I was lucky enough to get to diamond early, and I was able to kind of just go cruise control from there. And yeah, I forget what I did I think I went straight from 7 to 8. Didn't play in 7 for very long. And then again, building health, big push point, if you're able to get it early. Then basically just unlocked an entire tech tree. So the idea of the tech tree was cool. And I think this is the problem with Warships, is that you can do things on paper that seem like they make sense, but you don't really know. I mean, you can playtest the season all you want with like 10 people or whatever. You don't really know, how the meta is going to shape up until it's live. And then, we got to figure it out on the fly, which is the fun of the game too. But it's a tricky thing for sure. So overall, the season had good points and bad points. It got very grindy, which I know is a thing that you say every Warship season, but this season especially, because the whole season it felt like was a 1 to 3 second matchup. If we look at my attacks here, 429 wins, 414 losses. So I won, 15 more matches than I lost. And I played 883, and I had 40 draws. 40 draws is insane. That's diabolical. It really is. And yeah, 40 draws is crazy. It's crazy. That just shows you how closely matched all of these attacks were. So that's my take on it. I want to hear from you guys now that the season's wrapping up on the final day here. Good luck to those of you still pushing it out there. I might be joining you soon. I don't know. But yeah, appreciate you guys. Let me know what you think down below. Thank you for watching. Catch you next one. Chicken out. Back.